All right. Hello, and welcome back to not a free agency video, but a draft video. Now that the combine's over, I have a bit more of a benchmark for some of these players. So I thought this would be a good time to start on just not really like mock draft stuff, but more like predictions kind of deal. And my first one is going to be Ezekiel Elliot. I really like Ezekiel Elliot. Words are hard. That is a life lesson that you should all learn, that words are hard. Ezekiel Elliot, probably the best back in the draft. My opinion, he's the best back in the draft. I really like him. I think he's good. He's really good. There's a lot of good things to him. There's not a lot of bad things with him. So I recreated him to the best of my ability, just using some of my thoughts, like some of the stuff that I've seen on him and his combine stats that he did. So those who didn't see his combine, he ran a 4.47 40, which I kind of expected. Zeak Elliott's never been a burner. He's always had good speed, but not elite. So, I mean, that didn't really surprise me. It didn't jump out at me. It's kind of where I expected him. I was expecting mid 4.4. Excuse me. He only did a couple events. He only did like 3 major ones. Next is the vertical. He did a 32 inch vert, which at 6 foot's decent. I mean, it's not amazing. It's not like it's gonna jump out at you and you're gonna be like, this guy is amazing. Because I mean, his measurables aren't amazing when he worked out. They're solid, but his game tape speaks for itself because he's really good. So, and his broad jump was 118 inches, which I'm pretty sure is almost 10 feet, if I'm not mistaken, which is really good. So, those were the only ones he did. And then his on-field workouts, I thought he was good. The only issue I thought he had was some of the catching drills. So, I guess I'll do like a little pros and cons thing with him. Pros, pretty much everything he does, he's good at. He's a pretty good blocker. He's a great runner. He's just all around a really good player. It's hard to describe him in my mind. Because everything he does well, except for one thing, and that's pass catching. That's the only thing he needs to work on, because that's the only thing that could really hurt him in the draft. Is that he can't be a great receiver, maybe. Maybe. Just from what I've seen on his on-field. I haven't gotten to see much of his game tape. I haven't gotten around to watching him. But from what I've seen, he's not an elite pass catcher at running back. He's not, a Matt Forte. So, my prediction on him, I'm saying he's going to go... I'm saying he will go to the 15 to 35 range. Meaning, I don't think he goes in the top 15. I have a couple teams written down above that there's potential that they could be teams that go at him really high, but I doubt it. I'm saying 15 to 25, mostly because running back isn't a primary position, I guess. A lot of teams need running backs, but not a lot of teams are willing to waste a very high draft pick on running backs anymore. It's not like the 80s and the 70s where, running backs were the number 1 overall picks. That doesn't happen anymore. So I'm saying mid to late first, very, very early second if he drops into day 2, which I doubt he does. What was it saying? Zeak Elliott's just really good all around. He's one of the better, players in the draft. He's gonna go in those high ranges. He'll go mid to late first, early second. So the first team I have is the Cowboys. Mostly because Dallas, they have that offensive line. And it's the best offensive line in the NFL. Like, bar none. There's no doubt. So, they could really go for that star guy who's going to be that guy who's going to pound the ball pretty much 3 downs every drive. He's going to be the guy that's on the field every single down. But the Cowboys, I think, have more, glaring issues as of right now. I mean, they're still a really good team. And Dallas could be very good. It's just that they were, subject to some bad backup quarterback play. And their defense just didn't perform as well as it could have. So they can obviously go defense and try and, fix that. Or they can go and get their guy for the future behind Romo. Which I think they might. Unless they go, they decide, let's say Jalen Ramsey is their guy. They need defense. Jalen Ramsey's going to be the guy. So, Jalen Ramsey's going to be the guy. Jalen Ramsey's our pick. He's our guy in the future. He's going to go, and he's going to be the best athlete. Him and Byron Jones are they're going to kill it in the backfield. No one's going to be able to throw on us. That could be their mindset. They can go, let's pick Joey Bosa. Joey Bosa is one of the best players in the draft. Let's shore up that front four. No one's really going to want to have to deal with him and whoever else they decide to start across from him. Because, again, Dallas is good. Their front seven is probably their biggest issue right now in my mind. And if Dallas doesn't take him at 4, and it's a big if he dropped, he could definitely go to them in the second round. He would be a no-brainer. But then again, that is a big if. So, Dallas is definitely at number 4. If he somehow dropped into that second round, I would be extremely surprised. I wouldn't know what to say. But I'll save my my actual prediction on where he'll end up till the end, because obviously you know where I think he's gonna be if you're watching the video. So up next I have the Colts. I think the Colts are drafting at 18. I think the Colts need a lot more. They have a lot more glaring issues. But they can get their guy for the future. And Zeak Elliot could be that guy. It's just, do they really prioritize a running back when their offensive line is shot? They have maybe 2 guys who can be full-time starters on their roster right now, and that's Costanzo, or whatever his name is, the tackle, the left or right tackle, wherever they line him up more often, and the and guard Mewhort, or I think that's his name, like Mewhort or something like that. So he could definitely go to the Colts. I think really the teams that are ahead of the Colts, from that point, Tennessee has bigger issues than tailback, and they do need help at tailback, but they could prioritize some other stuff. Browns need a quarterback, no doubt. The Browns are going quarterback. It's just a decision of Wentz or Goff or even Lynch. It's really just a thought of who they like. The Chargers. Melvin Gordon didn't have a good year 1. Melvin Gordon could really have to improve. So Melvin Gordon really could improve a lot. Hopefully. I really like Melvin Gordon. But they have more glaring needs. They need offensive line. They need a defense. You know, there's a lot of things that team needs. And pretty much every team up until Miami in the top, 15 or so, there's no one that truly needs a running back. And even Miami might not. They might really think that J.J. could be their guy. I think J.J. is on their roster. If not, sorry. But I think they probably think that Jay could be their guy, step in after Lamar Miller takes off in free agency. And I have Miami on the list just in case, but if it happened, I think Miami would probably use a second round on him if he fell to that point. And if that's always a thing, it's if he falls. Because he is a very good player. It's just that running back's not a priority in the NFL anymore. Next is the Giants, who I think are picking at 8 or 10. They're not picking at 8. I think that's Miami. I think they're picking at like 10, 11. The Giants need defense, and they need a running back. But they can do running back, in free agency. They can do running back pretty much whenever. There's a few really good free agent running backs that could fit in and be day one starters. And there's a lot of defensive players they need, and they still need some help on the offensive line. There's a lot of shuffling going on around on the offensive line for them. But they could prioritize the guy who's going to be there. He's going to be their bell cow running back. And just step in and be a day one starter and play well behind a okay offensive line if they stay healthy. That's the thing. If it could stay healthy, that offensive line could be good at best. Good job by the quarterback completing that pass against his own defense. Look for the open space. Tennessee could take him at 33, their first pick in the second round. We're about to get the final quarter started here, partner. And this defensive battle has the field. If he dropped out of first round, Tennessee would pick him up day 2 like that. I snapped my fingers. You probably didn't hear it, but I did. Oh, my dick. But Tennessee could take him at 33. First pick of day 2, and they could be happy with him and Tunsil, which I'm assuming will be their number 1 pick. Or Tennessee could even trade out of their first pick and pick him up later. So, next is the Jets. I think the Jets are picking at 20. Chris Ivory is getting to that age where power backs are starting to be useless. Most power backs about late 20s start to hit a nice big steep drop off. And Ivory is that kind of guy, so I could see Ivory hitting that, cliff and that drop off. So he could definitely be the guy. Now that I'm thinking about it more, the Jets are definitely a good bet on him. Him and Ivory could be scary together. Him and Ivory could be very scary together. But my personal prediction, I think the Jets also have some help they need. The Jets are actually a really good team. They just need a little bit of help on the defensive side. So, and even then, that defense is really good. They just need some pieces. And maybe running back is one of those pieces if he dropped. Just a quarterback waiting for the snap. He'll throw it over the middle. So, last I have the Texans. It's almost as if they're running out of ideas, Phil. Houston is a really good defensive team, and all they need is just a consistent running game. Alfred Blue isn't a starter. At best, he's a backup. Oh, God, Brian Hoyer, you suck, dude. I suck. But Houston's my prediction. I think that's a safe bet. None of the teams ahead of them, except for the Jets, now that I've been thinking about it more, truly are going to prioritize great running. And the Texans, Arian Foster hasn't been good since he went vegan, which was the dumbest thing he could have did. He went vegan, I think, in like 2011-ish, and he hasn't been the same player since. He just hasn't been able to stay healthy. There's just been a lot of things wrong with him. So he made a dumb decision by changing up his diet. I don't know how the defensive back didn't come down with that. That was a joke. But Blue is a good rotation guy, but he's never going to be a starter. At least not in Houston. He won't be a starter. So, Elliot could step in. He could take that spot from Arian Foster, who, again, isn't good anymore. I mean, he hasn't been good for a while. Arian Foster hasn't been the same player. And that's a big issue. Because if they don't have a running game that they can rely on consistently, then they have to put it on the shoulders of a guy like Brian Hoyer, which is what they had to do in the playoff game. And you saw how that worked. It didn't. They couldn't run the ball, and when they had to pass it, Hoyer just wasn't up to the task. And that just didn't help them. So they can go for a guy who can be their star back for a long time. For the next, 6-7 seasons, Elliot could step in, and he can be that guy from day one. So I truly think that Houston, if the Jets maybe are going to make a play at him, I could see them definitely just saying no and trading in front of the Jets, trading up to 19 and ensuring they get him. I could really see it happening. Because in all reality, it's a pretty good chance that they do that. They need a running game, and Alfred Blue's not going to be that guy. But I believe he'll go at number 22. Leave in the comment what you believe Zeak Elliott's projections are, where you think he's going to end up. I don't know why the Houston defense is always so bad when I play with them. That's pretty much the end of the game. So, I really like Zeak Elliott. I think up next I'll do Derick Henry. And I'll give you my thoughts on him. So that's pretty much the end of it. They're going to take a knee. So, just one more time. I really like Zeak Elliott. I think he is the best back in the league. I mean, in the league. Not even in the league yet, dumbass. If you can't tell, I'm tired. Best back coming into the league this year. Can go as early as 4 if Dallas really believes he can be the guy. And if at worst, he will go like a pick 30, 8 or so, to Miami or something. At worst. But I believe it's going to be Houston or the Jets. Both teams prioritize running, strong running games. And both teams could really utilize him to his fullest ability. So, that's my thoughts on Zeak Elliott. Leave yours in the comments. This is J-Wax, signing off.